Throughout the past half-century, Ken Russell has been a leading figure of British avant-garde cinema. Idiosyncratic ideas and obsessions permeate Russell's films more than any other British director's works. After we met Mr. Russell and were intrigued by the reasons he suggested for these recurring themes, we researched the subject and made a series of short films.
Hello! Hello! Come in, come in! We're going.
It seems he was a musician.
Ken Russell's passion for classical music and for aesthetic beauty began one fateful day in 1937.
So go home and tell your wife you found a new way to light the house, with bulbs that glow without any wires to connect them to the mains. She'll know you weren't sober.
It was Tchaikovsky's piano concerto in B-flat minor, played by Solomon and the Halle Orchestra. The moment that marked the beginning of his lifelong passion for classical music, composers and art. In particular, Pyotr Ilyich Tchaikovsky.
Whatever music I heard, I saw images. That's what helped me sort of forge my particular brand of cinema. Yes. I found in general that classical music has such a range of feeling that you're spoilt for choice. You can just, there are so many pieces one can use. So I owe classical music a lot, and also it told me the strength of the right image with the right music, and so you will find that running throughout all my work, that the music brings forth an image of what I want to put on the screen. And that's it. It's as simple as that.
As the Luftwaffe bombs rained down during World War II, Ken Russell kept himself preoccupied, projecting movies in his garage.
When you see the films that are going to mean most to you, the earlier you see them, the better. The earlier you get your ideas turned upside down, the better. And I think that was my luckiest moment, that it was in my teens that I saw a host of great films which obviously influenced me greatly and also changed my way of looking at things.
Well?
Liz, my dear fella.
Piss off, Brown.
And what of the Federico Fellini-esque theatrical acting and carefully choreographed chaos in Ken Russell's films? Was Russell an admirer of Fellini's work? Or was it perhaps Fellini who was an admirer of Russell's?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I obviously admire Fellini. He's a, great film director. Although he's been on the scene longer than me, so I guess if anyone's influenced by anyone, I must be influenced by him. And I was in Rome one day looking at some sets of Rome, and it was pouring with rain, and a car drew up, and a man jumped out of the car in a cloak, surrounded by men with umbrellas, and made his way towards me. And as he got closer and closer, I thought, my God, it's Fellini himself. And I was just getting ready to say, "Maestro, how wonderful to meet you." And he said, Ken, I'm so glad to meet you." He said, "Do you know what I'm known as?" I said, "Well, no, Maestro." He said, "I'm known as the Italian Ken Russell." And I said, I can't remember what I said. I was so amazed by it that I think I was just tongue-tied. But that was the nicest thing anyone's ever said about me.
Ken Russell's characters, artists so full of zest, paint, sculpt, compose and dance. Artists like Rossetti, Millet, Fuseli and Rousseau influenced Ken Russell's visual imagery and mise-en-scène. But what was it about these artists that he found so visually inspirational?
Yes, well, in a way, I see the camera as a character with a voice of its own and ideas of its own. Hence that a lot of my films have a great deal of dancing in them. Well, actually, if you know the rudiments of ballet, and I studied it for, 5 years, you soon pick up the means by which you can get your most out of movement.
You've been a photographer and a dancer and a painter, or I'm not sure if you painted, but...
Yeah, I did.
You did?
They're on the stairs.
Okay. Get some shots of that. So you did paint.
I liked imaginative painting, and by that I don't just mean the surrealists, but people who use their imagination. And I often considered myself similar to the French Sunday painter Douane Rousseau, a self-taught character, a bit like myself in the respect that he had no lessons I had no lessons in cinematography or in the love of music. But I think if you've got a feeling for it, that's half the battle. And I'm more interested in a way in the fantastic than the realistic.
Why is that?
I have no idea.
It just comes.
Yeah. I suppose it's because, it's the unusual that, it fascinates me.
Catholic imagery and themes feature throughout Ken Russell's films. Depending on which critic you ask, these are to be interpreted as a devout Catholic's reverent iconography or the sensationalisms of an irreverent iconoclast. Did young Ken Russell see the church as inherently cinematic? Did the young filmmaker feel obligated to represent his faith in his films?
No, I didn't think that. I just, I believed it. Well, obviously I'm a Catholic, and there's no such thing as a lapsed Catholic, which I've also been called. Because once a Catholic, always a Catholic. The religious aspect of my films that are really serious questions. They're almost so serious that they're impossible to answer. And so that's what I also feel when I get into, thinking, how serious is it? Are you really serious about blah, blah, blah? And the answer is, yeah, I'm dead serious about it, and I'm really not sure of any answers.
Okay.
In fact, I have a telephone that's covered in jewels, diamonds, etc., which is in direct contact with the great spaceman. Whenever I call up, it's not always in. And he usually says, I'll get back to you.
Another permeating feature of Ken Russell's films is sexual and phallic imagery. Could this orgasmic ejaculatory excess stem from his first sexual experience being in the cinema? In fact, while watching
The one and only Pinocchio.
I got no strings to hold me down, to make me fret or make me frown. I had strings, but now I'm free. There are no strings on me. And two big monsters with big green eyes.
Well, I think everything one does or experiences is of some use. The person in the seat next to me, who was in shorts and seemed to be a sort of scoutmaster, was actually touching my person, and I thought it was I don't know, I think I gave a sort of a scream of surprise and horror, and leapt up and ran out of the cinema. And it seems it's almost too obvious to say that maybe that moment was when it crystallized in my mind some sexual act with the cinema. And the fact I've remembered it all these years, I've never forgotten it, it must have had some sort of effect on me one way or another.
Are there any other possible reasons?
The answer is staring at you from the window. That's also another possible reason I was haunted by sexual imagery. Ta-da!
We'll have to finish out on that as well.
Okay, fine.